We are live, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, gentlemen. We're live, gentlemen. There are no ladies at the moment. Welcome. We have Patric Chan here today. Patric, are you in Singapore right now?
I'm actually in Penang, a small island in Malaysia.
That's right. I, for some reason, was thinking you lived in Singapore, but then that's not true. You live near Malaysia. All right.
Yeah, and we met in Kuala Lumpur many years ago when Vision Lekani was doing some gathering, I guess, and we had a good time that time. We met.
It was so funny. Vision, of course, has been met with enormous success and after a lot of hard work. And I remember when Vision from Mind Valley invited a bunch of us down there, and it was interesting because my mom actually 2 days ago forwarded me like a Facebook reel of Vision talking about the universe and how the universe brings us what we are, not what we want, right? And so, but it was really funny because it's been seen like millions and millions and millions and millions of times. And my mom was like, "Look at this, Tellman. I think you'd love this." I was like, "Oh yeah, he's one of my friends." And my mom was like, "Oh my gosh." It was funny.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
I never knew you were all the way over on that side of the world, Tellman.
Oh yeah, I've been all over the place.
Awesome. And Patric and I had a chance to meet just
you had a
little less than a month ago.
Patric and you had a chance to meet?
Sorry?
That's right.
I was just playing with your last name, Patric.
Oh, got it.
That's right.
What's funny is that Patric and I, at least I knew of Patric. I don't know if Patric, if you knew of me. I did a lot of work with Tellman back then, but we kind of knew of each other for many years. And just a couple of weeks ago was the first time we had a chance to meet in person. So that was pretty cool.
It was. It's very delightful to meet you in person. I mean, I've seen you in the past during the early days, right? And first time I get to see you in person. So that was amazing. That was great. And I rarely travel to United States for any event. I think I've only traveled like 4 to 5 times for any events. It's not about ego whatsoever it is. I mean, I don't want to travel all the way there to attend something simply because the travel itself is gonna take me like 3 days in airports and in planes and so on. So that was an event that is worth traveling because it's more like a mastermind rather than attending an event. The last 2 events that I flew all the way to the United States was the first one was Russell Brunson's funnel hacking, the very first one, because I was the top 10 affiliate for .com secrets. And the other one, I was the top 10 super affiliate for ClickBank, and they have this all paid expenses to Boise, Idaho, to their HQ, mastermind, and all that good stuff, right? So it makes sense to travel all the way when you get to network and meet people or take awards or something like that. But traveling all the way just to learn something, now that can be very taxing when you're at the other end of the world. I mean, Tellman knows what I'm talking about because he has traveled to Kuala Lumpur.
Knocks a whole week out. I mean, a 1 or 2 day event is like, it's a full week between planning and prepping and making sure you're packed and having all your stuff and making sure your business can run while you're in the air for a few days. Yeah, it's a big deal.
And then US visa and everything. And I think that's another time I met with Tellman in the United States in Matt Basak's birthday party. I think that's the one. That's one.
So. I think so.
And you have very nicely groomed beard that time. Well, I think it was Basak's birthday, and I know Basak for many years, even the days when he traveled all the way to Asia to speak at events. So I thought, hey, it's a birthday party, so let's do it.
Cool. So, Patric, you and I have a very long history together. Though we haven't worked together in quite a few years. Do you remember, because I was trying to figure it out, do you remember the first time that we worked together or the first thing we collaborated on?
I do. It's still fresh in my mind. So would you give me the honor to share about that? Like how?
Yeah, please. So the question is, how did email change your life? But I was trying to remember what the very first thing we did was, and I couldn't quite remember. So I mean, if you can remember, please.
Right.
Share.
So the very first part is that when you somehow get started into this realm of internet marketing, I got a message from you, and you were asking me, do I know Dr. Joe Vitale?
Oh, yes.
Right. And then I knew Joe Vitale then, and then I connected you with Joe Vitale, and then something kicks off, and you were really great in what you do. You have that kind of energy, that kind of attraction, and everybody seems to wanting to work with you. And then there's one official collaboration is when you're doing this hypnosis program on how to model the experts.
Right.
So
and I created
like Joe Vitale or something like that. And then there's one bonus that I participated by giving some bonus and so on. And then after that, you became very successful. And then you get connected with other key opinion leaders in this industry. And then after that, you reach back here. And that's where I always value your friendship, because you're the kind of person, Tellman, I never say this to your face, but you're a person who would know how to be grateful. It's not many people are that kind of people. You know, when they become big and successful, they sort of lose their roots, so to speak. And then you were very successful with this project called Lee's Crusade.
Right.
And then you have all the biggest names, Jay Abraham, Dave Lakhani, I think, you know, all the big names and so on. And then you came to me, right? At that time, I was just doing internet marketing. I wasn't in the mainstream market. And then it came to me, hey, Patric, I'm doing this Lee's Crusade stuff. And then he said, let me feature you among all these top leaders, Jay Abraham, Mark Joyner, and so on, in Lee's Crusade. And that was one of the early collaborations that we have. But it's not really like a promotion, but it's more like helping each other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, then you email me, or at that time we were using MSN. It says, okay, today is where your interview goes live, because you're doing this interview and it goes by like every week or every month. And I checked my email at that day when it goes live, the interview, I got so many sales start coming in. I was selling some DVD program at that moment of time.
Yeah.
Right. So this DVD program is called the 5-step to make money online system or something. And it sounds really cheesy. I mean, come on, give me a break. You're not really good at branding and so on. That is before you can do it. That's before I met. That was before I met my mentor. So I was going like 5-step system to make money online. So those are some of the early days. And after that, you created many blockbusters and so on. And I guess the rest is history from there.
There was a course where you involved. Okay. Well, first of all, wow. How did you and I end up connecting in the first place? Like, why did I think you would know Joe Vitale? Because you're in Malaysia, he's in Texas, I'm in Vermont, I'm a hypnotist, he's a hypnotist, but I'm trying to figure out why you would have even wanted to introduce me to him. Why did that happen?
I don't know. I mean, seriously, I mean, I couldn't recall why. I mean, I know that Joe Vitale there, but I do not know why you picked me. Of all so many people, like you say, you are in Vermont, I'm in like Malaysia. There's no connection at all. And why did I wanted to connect you with Joe Vitale there? And I mean, there weren't any commercial value in that whole thing. I wasn't taking a piece. I didn't earn anything. I couldn't remember. Yeah. Right. It just happened.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is maybe he had done like some kind of launch, or did you ever promote any of the Nitro marketing stuff?
But I did. But in fact, ironically, I was the number one affiliate for that Nitro promotion for Dr. Joe Vitale stuff. But all of that happened before this connection. But
right. But maybe I reached out to you because I saw you on the leaderboard or something.
Could not be, because at that time I wasn't even a super affiliate yet. I was just like,
I don't know. Either way, dude, thanks for introducing me to Joe Vitale. That's awesome.
That's so awesome, man.
So what year did you get started doing internet marketing stuff?
I started in 2003, and it took me like 8 freaking months to make my first dollar.
Yeah, well, so let's talk a little bit about that. So you got started online in 2003, and when did you come on the idea of email and building a list and all that kind of stuff? What's your story? Like, what's your origin story?
I love sharing this, right? I think because it shows how powerful it is to build an email list, and how having an email list can not just generate income for you, but tremendously change your course of direction for your entire business. So here's a story, right? And feel free to interrupt me at any time, because when I share this with you, I get too passionate, and maybe I wasn't pausing fast enough. And because my accent may not be 100% accurate, just in case, pause me at any time, right? So here's what happened. Way back in early 2000s, Robert G. Allen, the New York Times best-selling author of Nothing Down and many blockbusters, multiple
streams of income, yeah.
Right. So he came to Malaysia and he spoke at the event. And at that time, he was a top-notch speaker and also a stage speaker. A stage speaker means they offer something on the stage and they sell a program. So he offered like a 10,000 ringgit. That would be about $3,000-4,000 US, somewhere around there. But it's a price point that I could never afford, right? So my friend signed up for that because my friend can afford that program. And Robert G. Allen sold the program called the Enlightened Millionaire. It's like a 3 days or 5 days bootcamp and so on. So my friend signed up for that, and I was saying like, oh, that is insane. How could you afford 10K to sign up for that program? That's totally insane. And then my friend went through the entire program, and he says it's great and so on. But he tells me this. But Patrick, if you want to get the essence of Enlightened Millionaire, you don't have to spend 10K. You can actually get the book called 1 Minute Millionaire, because the content is the same. It's just the experience of it.
Yeah.
So I bought this book called 1 Minute Millionaire. That was like 20 years ago. It's not that expensive. I bought it through Amazon or something like that. So I started reading that book, and oh boy, that book transformed my life. Because now, by the way, Brian and Tellman, have you read a book called 1 Minute Millionaire before?
Yeah, I used to have it on my bookshelf for years.
Okay, great. So I don't have to dive too much into it. I'm just going to give the context of it so that everyone listening to this get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
So 1 Minute Millionaire shares how to become the Enlightened Millionaire, and several vehicles to do that. There's real estate, there is MLM, and so on. But one thing that transformed my mindset, give me the paradigm shift, is this concept of building a mailing list. Now, at that time, email list, it is so novel. And here's the thing, and some may even say that, hey, does email marketing still work today? Yes, and I'll come back to that shortly. Email marketing still work despite 20 years later on, right? And sidetrack. When you see a guru or marketer says that, email marketing is dead, and he's emailing to you to say email marketing is dead while promoting something else, that's like a lot of question mark, right? I mean, the same email that says email marketing is dead at the subject, oh, you got to do social media, and yet he's using email to reach out to you. I mean, hey, there's lots of question marks there.
Right.
So that's like a sidetrack. So let's go back to the story here. I read the book, it transformed how I think, and then it says that, okay, I got to build a database, and to be more precise, to build an email list. Now, if you haven't read the book 1 Minute Millionaire, I would recommend you to get a copy of it at Amazon or anywhere. I mean, it's probably like $20 or something like that. But the content, it is still as evergreen as it is until today. Amazing book. Lots of enlightened ideas, millionaire concept, and so on. So I bought the book, and then I created my first web page applying this concept about building database. So I put up my first web page.
Hold on. Does 1 Minute Millionaire talk about building a list?
He talked about building a database.
Yeah, they would use the word database back then.
Yes,
I remember Joshua Shafran always used to say database back in the day when I first started studying under him. Yeah.
in the book, he orchestrated the story how this person who made his or her first million in 90 days because he sent an email list. He sent an email to 1 million people in that story. I mean, it's 20 years ago, but if you read that, it's somewhere around
that. Okay, I'll reread it. Cool.
Right. So I created my first webpage.
This was in 2003, 2004.
2003, 2004, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so happy 20-year anniversary of internet marketing, by the way, dude. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers to that. Right. I got my copper bottle here. Cheers to that.
Nice.
All right. So back in those days, there are no funnel builder, WordPress, all of those. So we use this Microsoft software called Front Page. I'm not too sure.
Front Page.
Oh my gosh.
Patrick, I still wish Front Page were around and I could use that to build my websites and my space pages.
Right. So those experts will use Dreamweaver, where else, folks like me who are like noobs will use Front Page. So I built this webpage. I do not know how to upload a webpage and all this kind of stuff. So I need to call out my friend who went to college, how do you put out webpage and all this kind of stuff. But I don't want to bore you with all those details. The point is I managed to put out my first webpage, and it's called an opt-in page. So it's a webpage. It doesn't sell anything. It just captured emails. That's it, right? And I just got started. I don't have any authority. I'm not a guru. I'm not a best-selling author. I'm not an international speaker. I don't have any of those. So what I want to do, right? I created a webpage about self-improvement, personal development. Why? Because I'm passionate about that topic. So here's a hint. If you want to get started, the easiest way is to choose a topic that you're familiar with, or at least you have interest in it. Don't choose a topic because you just want to make money. I want to go for this topic because it's supposed to be profitable. Don't do that. I mean, you can do that, but I'm telling you, enjoy your business. Choose a topic that you're familiar with. I'm not saying that you're going to make money with it, but at least do something that you know about. Mm-hmm. And I created this self-improvement webpage, but I'm not a guru. I cannot teach you about success. I cannot teach you how to be motivated. I don't know any of those. But what I did is that I started compiling content by all these gurus and so on, put it together and start offering for free to build a mailing list. Now, that's how I got started. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on how this whole process happened because I want to jump into the exciting part, how all this story is tied up together and how email plays a role in it. So now I set up my webpage, and long story short, I start building it. I start building my mailing list, and I start making money and all this kind of cool stuff. All of this starts happening. Now, and then one day, I launched a course called the Success Trace, where I interviewed some of the most successful people in the world in the self-improvement space, personal development space. Now, I have a friend. His name is Simon Leong.
Simon, right? I know Simon.
Oh, right. So Simon happens to know Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen because they have an event called Cash in a Flash in San Diego or something like that. So Simon was there. So he was speaking.
I like that, Cash in a Flash.
Cash in a Flash, right? So I talked to Simon. I asked Simon, hey, would you be able to introduce me to Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen? Because I want to interview them for my program called Success Trace. Success Trace is an audio program that we do this audio interview. There's no video like this. There's no nice video. Everybody can come in. None of those existed 20 years ago. We're doing all audio, teleconference line. You need to dial in, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so Simon says, oh, sure, why not? So he introduced me to Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen. So I emailed to Robert Allen, and I know that he is launching his book, Cash in a Flash. So here's a marketing tip. If you want to get the attention of an authority, or in this case, a New York Times bestselling author, you got to find what is the key trigger to that. Now, this is not my core expertise. Tellman is an expert in this, right? Tellman knows how to connect with experts and so on. He can share with you more of that. But the tip I want to share with you is that what do all authors would want the most? Well, they want to promote their book. They want their book to be in the best-selling list. I mean, that is the main thing. It's not about the money, but every author wants to sell their books. Is it fair for me to say that? Like, if you have a book, right, you want your book to be known all around the world.
I mean, pretty much every author. Maybe there are a few who are all messed up, but most of them want to sell more books. Yeah.
Right. So I reached out to Robert Allen, but instead of me asking Robert, hey, can I interview you because I want to use for success traits and so on, I reached out to Robert Allen and I says that, can I help you to promote your book tour, because cash in the flesh, right? And as an author will respond to you because of that. And I says, because I have a list. See, that is what changed the game. So I tell Robert Allen, hey, I have a list of people who are interested in personal development. If I can interview you, I can promote your book to my audience so that now you can get more book sales. So now
Patrick, I just want to ask you a question. I think I know the answer to this question already, but I want to actually ask it on behalf of our viewers, which is, so you had this list, right? Did you buy the list or did you build the list?
I build a list.
Okay. Now this is the thing that a lot of new or would-be new email marketers get wrong, is you can buy lists, but it's usually a bad idea, even if you know what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about building an email list of people who want to get email from you, who intentionally and purposefully entered their name and their email address on your website in order to get more email from you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you built your first list, what was your traffic source?
Okay. There are two traffic sources that happens 20 years ago. The first one was SEO. Now, that won't work anymore today because at that time, you can use a lot of gray hat methods. In fact, black hat methods, whatever color, rainbow color, whatever name you want to call it. Right. But you can do that even for an opt-in page. You can still get ranked in Google. So we got traffic from SEO. You just need to stuff lots of keywords in title tags, keyword tags, and all this kind of stuff. Put all this kind of stuff, right? So we get that. The second one was mostly from viral traffic and referral traffic.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So, okay. So back to the story. So you're building this email list. How big was your list at the time?
I could not remember. It's sizable. It's sizable. It's easily more than 10,000 emails. It's sizable, but I could not recall. It's probably not 100K in size, but somewhere around 10,000 to 50,000 maybe.
When you say you built this list with viral traffic, do you mean you had some sort of contest giveaway, or you had telefriend forms, or it was from you were selling a product that taught people about how to promote your product as an affiliate? Like where did the traffic like how did your first list, how did you actually build it? Like what was the
Okay, so keep in mind that this is 20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago.
Right. So the tactics may not be workable anymore, but the methodology, the idea still applies today.
Yeah.
So remember earlier you mentioned tell a friend script. Now, most listeners will not even know what in the world is tell a friend script. But let's just assume that we are on the same page here. Tell a friend script is that after they register opt-in, you have a form for them to enter their friend's name and email address to email to their friends asking them to check out your webpage. So we had a tell a friend. Today, it is social media sharing. I mean, 20 years ago, Facebook doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, so I mean, there are occasionally you'll still run into a tell a friend script somewhere. Like they still do exist, but basically people share ideas on social media much more readily now. Right. And that was before social media existed, right? So that makes sense why tell a friends were so much more popular then.
So tell a friend is one. And then there's another approach is that we have free ebooks. At that time, ebooks are quite dominant at that time because there's no video streaming and so on. So in our books or ebooks, we'll say that, hey, share this with your friends for free. We will always have that because it's free stuff. And because it's in the personal development space, I assume people actually shared those. I mean, it's not about like making money online, that kind of stuff, but it's personal development. This is not working well. Hold on.
Oh,
Is it working?
yeah, you sound fine to us.
Good to us.
It's blinking a little,
All right.
but it sounds great.
Okay, so it sounds great, right? So you can turn all of your content to become a viral tool at the same time by telling them that, hey, feel free to share this valuable content with your friends.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, at that time, people will even share it from their web pages, from their websites. So it starts to get viral.
Because, I mean, that was still at the point where before ebooks were even sold on Amazon. So like ebooks were rare.
Yeah.
Right. They were rare back then. So they were a novel thing. So, okay, I can see. So you basically made it easy for them to share your free content and then use telefriends. And so, okay, so you started putting your free stuff out there and you built this list up of 10,000 people and you reach out to Robert Allen. You tell him you want to promote his stuff.
Right. But to be more precise, I told him I want to share his book, not really promote his book, because we must understand the context that Robert Allen is someone who makes $1 billion from information product. I mean, he doesn't really need someone to sell his product for that matter, because if he wants, he will probably go for like huge JV partner and so on. But when it comes to selling book, because if you understand the ecosystem of book, right, they want to sell as many copies as possible to hit a certain rank. So they want to push the books. So the more books they push, then it becomes a best-selling book, New York Times best-selling, and so on. So my approach is like, hey, I can help you to move books because books are relatively cheap, and I have a list, and hey, they'll probably buy your books. So we did that audio interview. But this is what happened. I spoke with Robert Allen on the phone that time, and I was a bit nervous. I was like a kid that time, right? This was not 20 years ago anymore. This would probably be about like 10 years ago and so on. This is probably somewhere in 2010 or somewhere around there. I started in like 2003, made my first dollar after 8 months, and that's in somewhere 2004. And it took me a few years to become, to understand all this internet marketing stuff and build my own product, have my own course and so on.
One thing, Patric, I want to mention real quick, because this is the second time you've said this, is you started your business, and this is more for like the new people watching, not established business owners, but you said you started your business in 2003, and it took you 8 months, 8 months to make your first dollar. Right? And then it wasn't all uphill, right? Then you just said, and then a few years of continued learning and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it takes, right? Not many people are willing to work for 8 months and make nothing with no guarantee that they're going to be successful at all. So kudos to you for thank your past self, your future self today should thank your past self for willing to do that.
Yeah, I think so. I think most people came in with the so-called wrong mentality of the quick rich mentality. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I just want to say that there's nothing wrong with that, because when I first started, I came with that same mentality as well. Everybody who gets into this internet marketing world always gets into that mentality the first round. But here's the thing. After you have explored this world and you know those things doesn't exist, right? Then you can start afresh and do it properly. But the problem is many people are stuck in that zone. And when they could not find that quick reach, they try to find another quick reach. They try to look for another bishop and so on. Or maybe they completely let go because they realize, holy crap, this is building a business. So it doesn't require work. So they just quit, right? So having this quick reach mindset, it's normal for so-called beginners when they first get started. And I would say it's not their fault. It's simply because of all the hype that are available on the internet. Like when I first started, I believe that everyone would have suck into paid surveys. I've done that. I've done paid surveys. It didn't work, right? I tried type at home opportunity. It didn't work, right? So all of those stuff are opportunities. I mean, now, of course, I just cracked a joke that paid surveys doesn't work, but there are real paid surveys that do pay you money for taking surveys. I mean, this does exist, but you got to go through a proper company, but not through the BizOps stuff.
Right.
There are companies that run surveys, like Google, like for instance, company like AC Nielsen, they do a lot of surveys and so on. So they'll pay people to take surveys. All of those exist.
Right.
But then again, what I'm trying to say is that most of these are all these BizOps starter kit stuff that you sign up for like $20 to, and it doesn't really work because they are not real paid surveys.
Here's the big thing, and it always bears repeating. And by the way, Brian, I know you need to leave in about 10 minutes. So I just wanted to, Patric, Brian might need to head out early because he has another meeting. But get rich quick mentality. Like occasionally somebody actually gets rich quick because everything just lines up for them. And like, I made $1 million in my first, 2 months online or whatever. Sometimes people do that, but it's very rare.
Right.
Basically, making money, period, online, offline, in any career, in any job, in any business, takes constant persistence and dedication and daily skill development. If you want to get really good, like if you want to be an Olympic athlete, you got to train every day for 20 years. If you want to be like an Olympic entrepreneur, you got to train every day for 20 years. Like if you want to be, the best at anything, if you want to be, at the $1 million+ level of whatever it is you're doing, whatever your profession is, whatever your skill set is, whatever it is you're trying to become better at, if you want to be amazing and get paid extremely well because you're a wicked badass, you got to train for that shit. You have to go after it every single day. And I was thinking, as you were talking about the 8-month story, I'm not much of a sports guy. When I was young, I had really bad hand-eye coordination. And so I never, that's why I started running. I didn't play basketball. I didn't play soccer. I didn't play baseball because I sucked at catching and throwing balls. And I was thinking, as you were telling that story about, well, can you imagine someone that really sucked at playing basketball in grade school? They were short, overweight, not in good shape, low self-confidence, and they're trying to play basketball, right?
Right.
First time ever. Can you imagine how dumb they would look when at playing out of the court? Can you imagine it taking months of practice every single day before they made their first basket in a game? Yeah. I can imagine it taking more than a year for someone that was a beginner at basketball in grade school to take more than a year to make their first basket in a game. Kids will stick with stuff all the time that they want to go after because they find a love for the activity, and so people that want to get good at basketball then dedicate 10 years of their life to playing basketball. Right. And lo and behold, they get good, whether or not they ever become the best in the world, they get better than they were. And so that's really the game as an entrepreneur, as an internet entrepreneur, as an email marketer. It's just you got to do it because you love it.
Right.
Regardless of the results that you get. That's the only way you develop expertise, right?
And on top of doing it often enough, it's also important to be in a training like this, for instance, because then you get to learn what works and what doesn't work. And that's going to help you so much. And many people just don't get the right source of knowledge. They want to hear what they want to hear rather than hearing what really works. So for instance, you could go to Google and search how to build a mailing list. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a gazillion of answers out there, right? But how many of them has built, say, 100K lists that what Tellman did? Or maybe Tellman has built even larger lists. How many of you have actually done that? You see, everybody can say something, but it's very important that you're learning from the right source.
It's true. It's true. And yeah, go for it, Brian.
I was going to say, unless you want to complete that thought, I was going to say, Patric, you were taking us back to 2010, and you're about to do your audio interview with Robert Allen.
Yes. So I couldn't remember the exact year, but this is where the interesting part comes in. And this is where the part 2 comes in.
Yeah, this is way before 2010.
Right. So I couldn't remember the exact year, but this is part 2 of where the mailing list transformed my life again. The second time. Here's what happened. When I talked to Robert Allen, I get to understand more of what he does. And then incidentally, he said that he will be coming to Malaysia, and he will be coming to Malaysia for a talk. And I say, I think if I can recall well, it is for a USANA convention, because Robert Allen, it's like the top USANA MLM distributor at that moment of time. Now he's not with that anymore, but that's a whole different story. So then my entrepreneurial mind comes in again and says, what, you're coming to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur? I mean, the Robert Allen is coming down. So I jump on it and says that, you know what, we could do an event together. Not together, but I could be your organizer. I could be the guy. I could put heads into the room for you, right? And then you can talk about your book, you can talk about USANA, whatever you want to talk about, and just come here. Right? and then Robert Allen says this to me. Okay, so he looks at his schedule. I mean, you must understand, this is Robert G. Allen. I mean, this is like a Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins level, and I'm just like this little guy.
A lot of people don't know him because he's not very active. Is he still living? Is he still alive?
He's still living, but he's no longer active anymore. His heydays was.
But like, 20 years ago, he was like. 20 years ago, Robert Allen had one of the biggest mailing lists of anybody else in the industry.
Yes.
He was doing bajillions of dollars, like millions and millions and millions of dollars in like high-end coaching sales on the back end. He had like a massive sales floor of 300 people. I think Prosper was doing all of his back end. It was a massive operation.
Massive operation. The Enlightened Millionaire Institute. So going right. So Robert Allen sits in schedule and says, unfortunately, the only day that I'll be available to speak will be Monday. I said, shit, who attends event on Monday? Everybody's going to be at work, Nobody's going to take a leave and come to listen to you. I was just thinking in my head, nobody's going to do that, right? So then I said, but I just said, Robert, sure, can do it. Let's do it Monday, right?
Monday.
because Robert Allen. Right. So then I have maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get it all done. Right. And that's where my
have you ever done an event before?
I did for my own event.
Okay, good. So you had some experience with how to set up an event that didn't suck. Okay, good.
Right.
All right.
So then I have my list. I have my local list because I've done event in the past, right?
Yeah.
So then I put everything together, and to keep the story short, the inspiring story is that I was able to fill the entire room on Monday, on the first month of the year in January, where people starts working, and was able to fill in the room with everybody in the room, and Robert Allen comes to talk and so on, right? So it was a success, and I think that Robert Allen was impressed with that because hey, it's like a really short period of time, and you can fill in the room, and we just got it done. And I'm not too sure whether he made money or not, but all events made money, just like whether you made a lot or you make less. So now that is the second time the list saved me again. This is not to say by just having a small mailing list, it leads to one thing and leads to another thing and leads to another thing. Imagine if I don't have the list, I will not be able to interview Robert Allen. I will not be able to fill in the room. And the worst part is that it will not lead me to where I am today. Here's the thing that I don't share publicly most of the time. Then when I do like an interview like this, I always like to share new story, new content with everyone. So this is going to be unique. This is going to be unique for Brian and Tellman. Mm-hmm. So Robert Allen is the man who transformed my life. He is always my mentor. Now, when we started together, you see, I did not go through like a Robert Allen training. I did not go through like a 5 days bootcamp and so on. But what I have is my time with him. So when I spend so much time with him, and I'm not too sure whether I can say this on the record, so on. I even asked Robert Allen, can I pay you to mentor me? And then he just says to me, no, you don't have to. Robert Allen is one of the kindest person you can ever know. After his accident, he has literally transformed his life and so on. So he was saying that, he will teach me. He will teach me anything if I ask him for anything, right? And just by spending time with him, I learned to, lack of a better word, to think big. That's how I go 10x. Because when you're with someone so big, right, you cannot help but to grow. It is impossible. It's impossible for you to work with someone that big if you're still at your stage. So I started to expand. And I can remember this. So when I say this, I get goosebumps. So when I talk to him, I would say that, yeah, I was okay because I was doing okay. I was making money on the internet, all this kind of cool stuff. And then Robert Allen always says this to me, Patric, you're not good. You're number one. You're number one, and you're the best, the top in the world. And when a mentor tells that to you, it gets into your bone. Like that. Yeah. You have all this confidence and so on, and then you start expand and so on. And that's how I was able to transform my life, break through, buy my $1 million home and so on. And it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. So as I continue to grow, having Robert Allen not just as my mentor, not just as my business partner, but we even co-authored a book together. Yeah. This is me, Robert Allen. It's called Kicking Cash. Now imagine being able to co-author a book with a New York Times best-selling author, and you are someone who is so far away. And this book gets testimonials from the late Bill Buckman, who is the billionaire business coach who became the 25th wealthiest person in America. I think that would be like a Donald Trump level. Bill Buckman, if you Google him, you'll probably get some details about that. And we have testimonials from Matt Basak and Matt Morris, someone who is very famous for his book called The Unemployed Millionaire. All these successful people were giving testimony and so on. So because of the list, then this book becomes successful again. Because I have a list, I was able to turn this book into a best-selling book by mailing to my own list. I don't need to get JV partners. I don't need to run ads. I just focus on my own mailing list and promote this, put it together, bonus package and so on. And it becomes a best-selling book. That's right. So that is basically the story. That is how one thing leads to nothing. And it all starts with the mailing list. Now, and today I still keep in touch with Robert G. Allen, and it's a true honor to be able to call him my mentor and my friend, right? And I want to bring up to speed the part that I mentioned that email marketing still works today, right? Before we jump into any Q&A or any further discussion, I just want to make this point very clear so that you understand how powerful is emails. So there's this saying that social media has replaced emails. But check your mailbox. Check your mailbox and you realize Facebook are emailing you every single day. If you think that Facebook can just reach you through social media, I don't think they'll be bothered to send you emails. Why, when you're being tagged and so on, they'll still send you emails? Because they know. I mean, look, maybe Tellman and me are not that smart compared to Facebook, Harvard, Oxford University graduates and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that marketing is working in Facebook, right? And they have paid premiums for that. There's a whole marketing department. Don't you think they have researched and do what they're supposed to do, whether they should email or they should not email to their users? Just think about it. If Facebook are still emailing you today, it's telling you something.
That's right. That's right. Email, at the end of the day, every social media channel will rise and will fall. And there will be times when social media, different channels work well for you and times when they don't. Yeah. There'll be times when you figure out something that you can do on one of the platforms that gets you a great result for a while, maybe even a few years. But inevitably, social media evolves and changes. The algorithms evolve and change, and the rules evolve and change. They're all privately owned. Email is not. It's the only fully decentralized way of communicating. Nobody owns email. And so as a result, it's stuck for the long term. Maybe something will replace it someday, but I don't know what it's going to be. And I don't know when that's going to happen. Email is still, I look at email as the glue that holds internet communication together, right? Like it really is like the interconnective tissue that keeps us connected one-on-one.
I think social media, of course, is very effective and so on, but I'm just trying to say that social media or anything would not replace emails for that matter. It's just different channels. Right. I mean, if you ask me, I will use emails, I use social media. Right now, I'm even expanding into Telegram. Mm-hmm. So it's just multiple channels.
What would you say, Patric, right now, for someone who is just getting started building, let's say, a new email list? Maybe it's someone who's done it before. Maybe it's someone who's just getting started. Maybe it's someone who has a business and they're building a list to grow their business. Whatever it is, for somebody who's just getting started building your list, what do you think is one of the best traffic sources right now for new people just getting going, to put their time, effort, and energy into? Because, I mean, to build your list, you have to have a place where people can opt into your list. You have to have some kind of a funnel set up. You have to have your autoresponder in place, but you also, no traffic, no list, right? So what do you, in your opinion, what do you think would be the best traffic source for someone who's just getting started to begin with?
I think that's a very good question, and it's also a tricky question.
It is a tricky question. I know.
Right. So it has to fall back to the mechanism of your webpage and the offer to determine the traffic source. So I'm just going to give you an example, or to be more precise, I'll give a case study so that you can, I mean, everyone who is listening to this can relate to it. When I use the word you, I'm not referring to just Tellman, I'm referring to everyone listening. Yeah. So just a way of saying, right? So as I was sharing with you, you need to see what is your offer and how you're building the list. Now, for my style, I'm not saying that my style is right or wrong. I'm just how I would do my
There are so many different ways to do this. It's just, what's your opinion? Right. What do you think?
Right. So I think that to build a list today is that you need to build a list where they will consume your content. If they don't consume your content, they will just forget about you. So for instance, example, those people who are running ads on Facebook or whichever platform and so on, and then they were giving, say, a free report, a free book, and they were complaining about it and say, hey, it doesn't work and so on. But then I asked them, did you log into your Facebook lately and did you scroll through how many ads you're competing with? Did you know that the same person who opted in for your free report, free book, he probably opted for 10 other free books and reports on the same day? So what's the likelihood that he's going to read your ebook? What's the likelihood he even opened your email? What is the likelihood if he opens your email, he downloads the ebook and he reads it?
That's right.
It's rarely happening. So you must understand that if there is no bonding or relationship being built from the list that you build, it's as good as nothing, right? So for me right now, to build a list, I will focus on running virtual events. Because when we do a virtual event, the intention for them to opt in is to register. So it's a different mentality. They are registering for an event. They are not opting in for that matter. So when someone registers for an event, they look forward for your emails for the confirmation, details, date, and so on. I mean, provided they are the opting in for the pure intention of registering towards the virtual event. So now, the best part is that if you do this event, it's a video event, and then you're gonna get engagement. So from the registrant, you can escalate them up to become attendees and of course become customers. Now I'm gonna get to your question about what is the best traffic source. Now, if our product, our offer, the nature of us building the list is through a virtual event, then my focus will be organic traffic. My focus will not be running ads when I first get started, because there's nothing to sell, which means that I could not even break even from my ad spend until I've tested the entire system. So why organic traffic works? Simple. If you do a virtual event and you are in a niche market, forget about internet marketing stuff. I always tell my students is that if you're looking at this internet marketing stuff, I'm sorry to tell you that you don't really understand how much money is being made outside of this internet marketing world. There's so many other niche where people are making so much money. I believe Tellman has hit mostly his niche market. And there are many different kind of niche markets that are out there: parenting, marriage counseling. There's even a niche on EMF hazard. EMF, like radiation hazard, that's like a niche of its own, right? Can you believe that? There's even a virtual event just for EMF hazard. Unbelievable. So now going back to this, if your virtual event or a virtual summit, whatever you call it, right? 1 day event, 1 day workshop, whatever you call it, right? It's about parenting. It's very easy for you to get organic traffic if it's not about internet marketing. For instance, right? A parent, if they see something good, they will probably share with another parent because it is about parenting, right? Or let's say your niche is about teaching children how to draw. I'm just making this up, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that it will get shared a lot. Or it's about fitness, about health, about diets, and all this kind of stuff. Then how do you get the seed of it? Well, if you do a virtual event, you can have your event listed in all kinds of platforms. For instance, Facebook events, right? Do you know that you get free organic traffic by just having inside Facebook events? If you have your events in Eventbrite, you get free organic traffic from Eventbrite. So there are many other platforms that you can play around and do this. And just by doing that and playing with social media, like having Twitter space. I don't want to get into too much into social media because it's out of the context. But by just doing social media, you'll be able to get organic traffic to fill in the first initial audience, and from there it can grow organically because they can also share that with other people, and it costs you nothing in terms of advertising spend. Now, then if you go to phase two, truth is, this is exactly what we do. So I'm just telling you without any notes whatsoever. I'm just telling you from my heart what I know. Then phase two is that after the event is over, then you will know how much money you have made. Of course, you're going to have all the monetization strategy in place. You're going to have all the sales funnel. Then only you can go out there and start running ads.
So I agree with you. It's very non-internet marketing stuff is generally more shareable. Not always, but a lot of the time it is. One of the reasons that people get so attracted to internet marketing or biz op is because so many people that are selling stuff in internet marketing and biz op are constantly telling everyone specifically how much money they've made with doing this or that as a way of claiming proof that my system really works. And sometimes people are telling the truth about that. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, people are lying about how much money they've actually made using their own system. And so what ends up happening is most of the other markets and niches are if they're making a ton of money, they're kind of embarrassed about it. They don't want to tell the world how much money they're making. They just want to tell the world, that they have the best skin cream or whatever.
Right.
And so it's a different type of claim or buzz in the marketplace. And so when people first get started, they so often make that wrong choice about choosing to go after a market or niche just for the money in that they don't know anything about and they have no expertise in. And so even if they are successful starting to build a list or starting to build an audience or a following, in very short order, they have internal conflict because they know they're full of crap. They know they don't know what they're talking about. And they know that people are asking for their help, but they don't actually know how to make money yet. And so they get caught in this incongruence that prevents them from actually growing their business because they don't believe in themselves, right? Because they know they're just blowing smoke, So, yeah.
And if they want to get into internet marketing niche, I'm not saying that don't do that. I'm just saying that it's so much more easier to get into other niche market to build a list and start making money first.
Yeah.
Then explore the whole internet marketing. If you have, if you have the passion for it. I know, for instance, we share a mutual friend. His name is Harris Feldman.
Oh, Harris.
Right. During the early days, he got into the internet marketing niche because he was passionate about it. I have chat with him. He says, I'm just so passionate about teaching marketing. So great on you. If you have the passion for it, you will succeed. And he did succeed. And today he's not doing much about internet marketing. He's I believe, I could be wrong, but his interest and his passion is doing stand-up magic tricks right now. He's a magician. He's doing that right now, and that's what gel with him. So what I'm trying to say is that I agree with what Tellman says. I'm not saying that you should not do internet marketing. I think that if you're doing that for the money, I just suggest you to, think about it. Like, have a secondary thought.
Yeah, don't go after it because, like, yes, you want to earn more money, but don't go after a topic because of the money. You won't last. Like, unless it's a genuine interest or passion or hobby that you're studying, that you're reading books about, that you're listening to podcasts on, that you're curious about, that you're thinking about, that you're having conversations with other people about. If that's not there, you're not qualified. Like, don't go into a niche you're not qualified to speak on intelligently in some capacity, or it'll just bite you in the ass. It never works.
No, that's something that is totally unrelated. I thought that it's nice for me to bring it up, especially for those who did not know about you long time ago. There's one video that you created about someone asking you a question: how do you reach out to Sir Richard Branson? I couldn't find that video anymore. I was in YouTube at one time, and then you were showing that you just do was like you take net to do some law of attraction stuff, and I said no, it's not that. This is how you get the attention of Sir Richard Branson. I thought that was a good. I know it's totally unrelated here, but I thought that was a very good, interesting video. For those of you who are just here and you just get to know Tellman over the past few years, but not like 10 years ago. I mean, Tellman has done all kinds of stuff. Some are so epic, like how he got connected to Sir Richard Branson. I believe Sir Richard Branson was your ring bearer for your.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
For your ring bearer. Yeah. That's that. Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Cool. Well, guys, Patric Chan celebrating his 20th year, as am I, in internet marketing this year. And if you guys want to follow Patric's work, I highly recommend you get on his email list at patricchan.com and check out what he's doing. And if you guys want to start building your email list, you want to start learning about building your email list and how that works, you can get on our early bird list at www.masscotland.com/early-bird. We're going to get a cleaner link for that sooner or later. But in the meantime, you can join there. Patric, any other words of wisdom you'd like to share with our viewers here today before we wrap up?
Not really. I'm caught unguarded, so I didn't prepare any final words. So I just thought, let's just get here. Let's share from what you have, what you know, and let's just do it.
Awesome. Rock and roll. Well, guys, tune in next time. We live stream almost every day. So great. Thank you, Patric. And really appreciate you sharing your story and all of your experiences here today. It was really, really good catching up.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. All right, guys. Enjoy your day. We're going to end the broadcast. Bye.